Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. In my videos, I use both Vedic and traditional Western techniques with tropical astrology, not sidereal astrology. I also use the traditional system of whole sign astrology for my analysis. You can use this video to the best of your advantage by listening to the introduction to understand what the week holds for you, and then going to the timestamps for your sun, moon, and rising sign to get a more personalized forecast for the week ahead. Astrology is not designed to scare you. It's designed to give you information so that you know what the good and the challenging energies in the week ahead will be, and you can therefore consciously work with them to the best of your advantage. Remember, knowledge is power. Now, there are scammers about, and so if you should receive a message from me on any platform requesting your money for a reading, know that it is a scam. Report them immediately. And now settle in and let's see what the astral skies have in store for the week ahead. Well, hello, my beautiful friends. Thank you for joining me this week as we look at what is happening in the astral skies between the dates of the 1st of April, April Fool's Day, to the 8th of April. And this is a video where I'm going to announce in just a minute the March winner of the monthly solar return report. So stick with me and find out if you have won a solar return report. Before I talk about that, it is the last week that you've got to purchase intermediate astrology through the Royal Stars Academy at the discounted $100 off price. So don't miss out. Come learn astrology with me in 2023. Get certified with the International Institute of Complementary Therapies. There's a mouthful. Come with me and build yourself a whole new life. Links in the description below if you want to join me. You've got 1 week. Also, if you want to join me, you can come to Utah at the end of April for astrology, stargazing, and spiritual connection at a beautiful retreat in Zion Canyon with many like-minded others. So Contact at the Canyon is the name of the event. The link is in the description below if you would like to escape from the everyday reality with another Pisces soul who also likes to escape everyday reality. Come and join me in beautiful Utah. Now, drum roll. The winner of this month's Solar Return Year Ahead report is Pamela. It is your lucky day, Pamela. Now that is your YouTube comment title. There's nothing else, just Pamela. But I'm going to just share your comment here. You wrote, "Thank you. Look forward to your podcasts on Fridays. Like, shared, and subscribed. Utah sounds awesome, as well as the Academy." So that's the comment that Pamela left on one of my videos, and that has been the winning comment, the winning person. So Pamela, please contact me if you left that statement. Please contact me via the Guiding Star Astrology contact form on the website to arrange your solar return report. And congratulations! Let's move on, my friends, and look at this week's energy focus. So we're going to start, get my little pen, but we're going to start by looking at Mercury moving into the sign of Taurus. So here is Mercury down here. He's whizzed his way through Aries and boom, there he is now in the sign of Taurus on April the 4th. Whoa there, bucko. Slow on down. You've been going through speedy Aries. And here in Taurus, the energy can slow us right down, cowboy. It's not that we aren't thinking clearly when Mercury's in the sign of Taurus. We are, but it just might take longer than usual to make our decisions, to start a new project, or to think things through. That's just the nature of Mercury when he's in the sign of Taurus. He's not debilitated. He's just slower and more, taking his time to be sure. So under this influence, we tend to measure our words more, we speak more practically, forget the flowery days of Mercury in Pisces and often the imaginative, spiritual realms with our thinking and our speaking. They're long behind us now. Now Mercury is in the very practical, the very earth-centered, and slow and methodical sign of Taurus. Our thinking turns to practical matters too, and we focus our attention on things that are more grounded, the tangible, the realistic, even the sensual, what we can touch, taste, see, hear, and smell. And that's what we're thinking about. That's where our mind goes and our words go to support those themes in the world around us and in the interactions that we have. But also, on this day, on the 4th of April, Mercury, because he will be at 0 degrees of Taurus, he will also be squaring Pluto down here at 0 degrees of Aquarius, two fixed signs. Now, extremity is the calling card of Pluto interactions. So Mercury kind of slows down his influence now in Taurus, but this interaction, this square aspect with Pluto, can take Mercury behaviors, and by behaviors I mean our thinking, our speaking, our communications. It can take it to the extreme because Pluto empowers whatever it touches. And we know, if you've studied astrology with me, you know that planets are the more influential component of our lives rather than the signs. The signs affect how the planets exhibit their energy, but the planets themselves, and in this case an interaction between these two, is more important than the fact that Mercury is in Taurus. So the aspects and the interactions between planets affect us more greatly than the sign that a planet might be in. So here, with Mercury making a square aspect to Pluto, our thinking can go to new depths as well as new intensity, and our interactions can be more intense. Our conversations can be more intense. Our letter writing, any kind of written words that we produce can be more intense and empowered. Now, this could be enjoyable on some levels, don't get me wrong here, but keep that word extremity in mind. When Pluto takes things to the extreme in a combination with Mercury, there could be manipulations, things that are unfolding that aren't quite on the surface of things. So what might that look like? It might mean abusive words. It could mean people saying one thing, but behind the scenes they're doing another, or they mean another. There can be coercion with words, obviously. And also this combination can also produce narcissistic behaviors, paranoias and jealousies. So we do need to be very aware of that, even though there are some good things that can come out of this square aspect, which you'll see as I break down all signs. But Pluto square to Mercury might mean you might encounter some critical words or crisis events that arise from conversations, or nasty written words. So if you're say you're in a public role, as I am here on YouTube, you could expect that on this day, with a square between these two, that you might get somebody leaving a nasty comment on your YouTube videos, which is not uncommon, or writing you a nasty email or something like that. And that can happen. So, forewarned is forearmed under this aspect. But in the positive, and there is a positive with this one, Pluto is the great transformer. And whatever unfolds, no matter how nasty people's words might be to you, how critical and that sort of thing, it is happening in order to change you, to refine you, to make you dig deeper into yourself in your search for the truth. And so your own sense of self can be renewed after the intensity of this day's energy on the 4th of April. So that's my interpretation of what this will be doing. We're going to break this down for all signs so you know what to expect from this interaction of Pluto, the big god of the underworld, with the messenger god Mercury. But before I get to the breakdown, I want to talk about the full moon that's occurring in Libra at 16 degrees. So let's move our moon around there so we've got an idea of what's going on. So the full moon is occurring at 16 degrees between the moon in Libra and the sun in Aries. That is another interaction this week, and this is going to be one of the most powerful moons of 2023. So do you have personal planets at 16 degrees of Libra or Aries? Were you born during the night when the moon in ancient Hellenistic astrology governs the night? then you'll feel this more powerfully, this full moon. So find out more about this new moon. I'm going to break it all down, talk about the chart, and talk about how it's going to impact you, what it will manifest in your life on my Patreon family page. It's only $5 a month if you wish to join and find out what this full moon might bring you. And you can join for as long as you like. You can join for, a week. You can join for 2 years. It's up to you. But that is where I discuss all the new moons and full moons and give extra astrological insights into my understanding of astrology each month. Okay, and also on the 6th of April, when we're having this full moon occur, Mercury will move to 4 degrees of Taurus. And as you can see here, that will cause a conjunction with the north node of the moon. That's a very important occurrence happening on the day of the full moon. As the name suggests, the north node of the moon is governed by the moon. So it's going to have an impact on the full moon as well. So while Rahu, or the North Node, is considered to be a malefic in Vedic astrology, this conjunction can actually bring us opportunities. Opportunities that feel like favors from the universe. So we might get a flood of new ideas and new concepts. They come rushing in for us to apply to our media projects, our writing, our communications, our speaking endeavors. It's an exciting time. And for those of us with planets around 4 degrees of Taurus, this energy might give you the chance to prove yourself intellectually in some way, or to help you find your voice again if you've lost it for some reason in this lifetime. To suddenly say, I'm going to let my voice be heard. I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to stand up for what is right by me. So that is the energy of Pluto squaring Mercury is still in action at this time, but also we have Mercury in a conjunction with the North Node. So that is the wrap up of what is happening this week in the skies. Now let's break it down for what's happening for your sign. And we look at the sun, the moon, and the rising sign. And you should look at all three. The timestamps will be below, as I've said. So let's begin by looking at good old Taurus first off, because that's where this action is exhibiting. Taurus, which is containing Mercury, which is where the energy of this square between Mercury and Pluto is occurring. So remember that when Pluto interacts in any way with any other planet, it will empower that planet, it will energize that planet, and it will take that planet to an extreme. So Mercury, what is Mercury? It's thinking and talking. So your mind is going to be, even in Taurus, it's going to be thinking fast and talking fast now for a few days, and then he'll settle down to sort of being more slow and plodding in Taurus. So in fact, your mind can actually be faster than your mouth whenever Mercury is in the first house. So try to slow down and think things through. You might need to make some fast decisions now, or even take some quick actions over certain circumstances in your life, Taurus. Just try to remember to check the finer details. Don't be in such a rush with it, this highly expanded Mercury energy, that you're not being thorough. So you're going to want to keep things short and to the point as much as possible. There's a busyness about your life now that will keep you also on your toes. Your life's probably got extremely, busy with, one thing and another, and responsibilities to look after, and I'm doing, because Mercury is the planet of busyness, and Pluto will expand that energy in your life, so you're probably very, very busy. You might receive some exciting, new, fresh insights into some circumstances in your life. You might even receive some very important news as well. You'll want to keep the details of these plans or these insights quite simple, and do try your best to focus on the big picture. Mercury is small, fine details, and with Pluto expanding the influence of Mercury in your life for this couple of days on the 4th of April, you might be so honed in on the small, fine details of something that you're missing the big picture. You can't see the forest for the trees. So do keep that in mind. Try not to get defensive about your opinions now. Try to take the high ground and use your words to fight for people, for righteousness, rather than to sort of be abusive with your words, because that's the one thing you need to be very careful of with this square aspect from Pluto, that you Taurus, Mercury in the sign of your sign, Taurus, might be the one, hurtling the abusive words to someone else, or manipulating things behind the scenes, or trying to, with contracts and documents and agreements and any articles and things that you write, you might be trying to coerce people into certain, contractual agreements and things that aren't above board, that aren't fair and just and equitable. So do be careful, because that is likely to be one of the ways Pluto squaring Mercury can exhibit. Take the high ground, like I said. Use this energy to discuss, things with people with intellectual argument tinged with grace. I mean, that's how we want all our interactions to really be: graceful interactions, equitable interactions, not manipulative, not coercive. But that's the danger under this influence. You might, Taurus, be able to rally people to a cause through the empowerment of Pluto square Mercury, also through some infectious excitement that you have. So if you're a leader in any way, this is a time when your words can really rally people and, get the momentum going. You may also, though, feel a bit of impatience with other people who are taking too long to reach their point or reach their decision, and you just want to get on with it. Okay, so heads up on that. This is how the energy might be exhibiting for you. All right, thank you, Taurus. Now for our beautiful Gemini rising, Gemini sun, Gemini moon people. The energy of Pluto making a very interesting square now to Mercury in Taurus is affecting your 12th house and exhibiting through your 12th house. This is on the 4th of April. So this is a dreamy and an imaginative place to have Mercury transiting through the 12th house. But there could be trouble with details, because Mercury in the 12th house can sort of have to put effort into remembering the finer details. That's just the way it is in the 12th house. But for you guys, for Gemini people, you might receive some information through otherworldly realms. This is a time when you can actually be channeling, whether you know it or not, otherworldly information. Now, yes, Mercury in the 12th house can give trouble with your everyday activities and routines. You might be thinking in a more abstract and unusual way now, and Pluto is expanding and emphasizing that influence in the 12th house. But there's going to be lots of creativity available to you, Gemini, lots of inspiration. But just be careful, because there might be some frustration with the mundane and the ordinary. Remember that Mercury is your ruling sign as well. It rules Gemini. So you're going to feel it very strongly, the influence of Mercury in the 12th house, that feeling a bit spacey, feeling that you're not quite grounded in the ordinary way. Pluto is amplifying that, and the 12th house Mercury placement of your first house Lord will cause that as well. So there can be a lack of thoroughness with the details of life now, but remember, knowledge can arrive in your life intuitively. I would suggest trust your instincts now. They will be highly empowered under this influence. It can be quite a visionary time. So, you'll get ideas that could really take you forward into the future. Inspirational ideas, particularly of a creative nature, which is wonderful if you work in creative industries. Your instincts will be right on point. Your inspirations and your imagination will be really serving you well. It's also a great transit for anyone working in marketing or advertising, anyone working in music or writing or with creative careers, because inspiration is empowered now. Inspiration just lands on your doorstep now. Okay, so you can really benefit from this. I see this as being quite a powerful time for Gemini rising people. Pluto, if you're working in advertising, let's face it, what are you doing? You're trying to manipulate people into buying a product. You're trying to coerce them into seeing the value in something that you're selling. Marketing and advertising, that's what they do. Let's face facts here. I'm not going to labor the point. That's how it goes. And Pluto squaring Mercury empowers that very, very strongly. So your imaginative ideas are going to work if you're in marketing or advertising or writing or creative careers. You're really going to have the ability to tempt people in to buying your product or your service, that sort of thing, if you're looking to market or advertise. So let's say you're not working in marketing or advertising, but you've got a business or a product or an idea that you want to put out there. Use this energy to your advantage. It's going to be a winning time to do some advertising, to do some marketing, or to hire somebody to do that for you. It's also a good time to get chatty. Mercury is to chat in the realm of spirituality, 12th house, and Pluto is going to expand that influence, and you also might get some big psychic downloads and big psychic insights. Your dreams could even be prophetic as well, so pay attention, my Gemini friends. Last thing I want to say though is that you may dream of traumatic events under this square from Pluto. So there might be some traumatic crisis events that you dream about. It could be a premonition, it could be prophetic, or it could just be you purging and releasing some subconscious memory from a past life or some deep psychological wound that you're carrying, okay? But just be aware that you might have some rather scary dreams. And if that's the case, make sure that you've got some nice, calming music or rain sounds or something that you can press play on your phone beside the bed and just go back into Zen land instead of being freaked out by it. Okay, thank you, Gemini. All right, Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon people. The energy, you're going to stay. Thank you, Cancer. The energy of Pluto squaring Mercury is exhibiting through the 11th house in this instance, and we're looking at the 4th of April when this will occur. You can give or take a day before or a day after. This is a strong position for Mercury to be in the 11th house, because under this influence, especially in Taurus, we can be thinking about life in a rational and analytical way now, and the intellectual approach that you have to life can be quite impartial and even a little bit scientific. And so being a bit detached in these highly volatile times can actually be very handy. You can also be a little bit more detached from your emotions now. But the one warning I would say with this square from Pluto is that you might be in your head a little bit more, lost in the mind a little bit more, not feet on, you do have your feet on the ground in Taurus, but you're more just so separated from your emotions, and emotions play an important part in our lives, so just keep that in mind. It's a great transit for making new friends, because you'll know the right words to say to sort of endear yourself to someone else. It's also really good for public speaking. Your words have a great deal of persuasion, a great deal of ability to coerce a crowd or to cause your listeners to see your point of view. Mercury and Pluto in a square aspect. So therefore, if you have to give a public presentation of any sort, be it on YouTube or with a big audience or something like that, you'll have a lot more impact during this time. So, you might even be able to, rally people to some sort of cause with, Taurus is sweetness, and Mercury is to speak, so sweet words, and the empowerment of Pluto, so to manipulate them to take some sort of action or to get on your side with your way of thinking through your sweet words can be what unfolds. It's also a time when you might gain a unique perspective on a topic that's affecting the masses. You might get a light bulb aha moment, some kind of insight. So keep an open mind and an open heart now. You might also notice some goosebump moments increase. Pay attention to those flashes of insight that, I've got goosebumps, therefore I should listen to what people are saying. It's got meaning for me, or I should pay attention to this journal article I'm reading because I know there's something in it for me because I've got this sort of goosebump psychic moment. Your thinking can also be quite drawn to topics to do with the progress of humankind, and justice. It's also, I would suggest, this is an influence where you might consider joining some group legal action, the collective legal action. What do they call it when a group of people, it's escaping me now, but yeah, some group legal action. Sorry, I cannot think there's a word and it's just gone. But that can happen as well. And if you are thinking about doing that, I would suggest that it could be quite a powerful time to get involved in some sort of group litigation. Just do be careful because of the square from Pluto. Your friends might be trying to manipulate you or coerce you. This is the house of friendship. So they might be trying to manipulate or coerce you, or there might even be some abusive words from a friend. Try and remember that this energy is a passing energy, and it doesn't mean that your friends don't like you, and it doesn't mean that they're nasty and horrible. It just means they're under the influence of Mercury, Pluto in its more negative square expression. Thank you, beautiful Cancer friends. Okay. Leo rising, Leo sun, Leo moon people. The square aspect from Pluto in your 7th house to Mercury in your 10th obviously indicates that on the 4th of April, your angular houses are going to be strongly activated. So what does this mean? It means that thinking processes become very no-nonsense now. And you can actually use this energy for good to help build some positive new structures in your life, especially in if you work in careers that involve management, administration, or bureaucracy. If you're involved in any of those things, or government, this is a time when you can be empowered in your career and really take strides forward in some way in your career, because Pluto empowers your ability to speak, to make contracts, to wheel and deal, to buy, sell, to organize yourself and to do good administration kind of work. So good time for putting some new systems in place in your life if you're in those fields, and working in careers that have that tone to them. You should watch out for patronizing attitudes, criticism and judgmentalism that can come from bosses and authority figures now, though, under this square aspect. So you might be on the receiving end of such things, or if you're in a position of authority over anyone else, you might find that these sorts of behaviors are coming out unbidden. Suddenly you hear yourself speaking with a patronizing voice and you're like, oh my God, that's not me. Why would I say that? Well, it's Pluto square to Mercury in the 10th house if you're in a position of authority. Criticizing your subordinates or judging other people. So that can be a thing. Be conscious of that. You might either be on the receiving end from somebody who is in authority over you, or you may be dishing that out to others if you're the one in a position of authority. Be aware of this tendency. Tread with kindness now in your communication. It's quite imperative, Leo. I mean, if you've got Leo strong in the chart, you are going to be a natural born leader anyway. And it's something that you usually do with great dignity and grace, unless there are really bad aspects in your chart sort of destroying that capacity. But Leo is the ultimate leadership sign. But this energy, you might find that it's exhibiting in ways that you look back and think, oh man, that was a mistake. I'm not comfortable with that. Okay. So forewarned, forearmed, knowledge is power. Pluto expanding how you're using your words, but with a square, difficult aspect in the house of leadership. So that's what I'm seeing for my beautiful, lovely Leos. Mind your words and tread with wisdom and kindness. Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon people. Okay, so I'll just keep you steady there, Virgo. I mean, you are ruled by Mercury, which is a little bit restless, so not surprising you wanted to go for a walk there. Thank you, Virgo. Pluto is in your 6th house, squaring Mercury in your 9th house. So what does this mean on the 4th of April, and can give or take a few days around that time too? It means you will be inclined and empowered, because Pluto square does empower something. So you'll be thinking about uplifting topics now. You'll be looking, where is the silver lining in this? What's the meaning in this situation? What's the purpose in this situation? What do I find inspiring in the world right now? With Mercury in the 9th house, you'll tend to focus your thoughts in those directions and be looking for those things, which is a blessing. That's the gift of this square aspect. Another thing with this combination is that you can really help humanity this month with maybe some globalist thinking, a big picture focus, not to mention your naturally progressive overview of life and the future. So that with this combination is going to be a blessing. So it's a natural positive outlook instead of a critical outlook or a detrimental outlook. You're going to be naturally geared with Mercury here to thinking positively about where we're heading in life. Truth seeking is also on the cards. You want the big answers to what is going on, and you're willing to dig deep and dive into, various research topics to understand what is truth, what is real. Instead of being coerced by propaganda machines and what have you, which is what our media basically is. Trust your hunches, trust your intuition on things, my beautiful, beautiful Virgo friends. This might be also a very good time to dive into some different philosophies and different belief systems and to try to wrap your head around activities and affairs that are going on in foreign countries now. Pluto will empower you to understand those things. But one thing I do want to suggest is that with this square aspect in the negative, you might find people who ordinarily you see as inspirational figures or uplifting figures, they may actually be coming across in a more coercive manner, a more manipulative manner. And so it could be a bit off-putting in some way. You might find that if you don't have the wool pulled over your eyes regarding something, you might find that you hit a bit of disillusionment with inspirational figures like gurus and mentors that you look up to because of Pluto's square aspect to Mercury here. Now, it will pass, and you might think differently in a few days' time, but just know that a square aspect between Pluto and Mercury can trigger that kind of experience. It's anything extreme, and these inspirational figures, which are seen through the 9th house, you might see them as a bit extreme, a bit over the top, but don't let it tarnish your liking for their message or their leadership in any way. It's just a passing energy. Thank you, my beautiful Virgo friends. Okay. Libra rising, sun or moon people. Well, you've got a big month ahead, my Librans, because, full moon in your sign. It's all focused on you at this point. Don't forget, Librans, if you want to find out about how this full moon is going to impact you and your life, join me at the Patreon page to get all the details. It's a biggie, this full moon, let me tell you. So with a square aspect between Pluto in the 5th house to Mercury in the 8th house, what this means is that your thinking is going to very much intensify now. So it's a great time for learning new things. But you're going to have a real distaste for small talk and superficiality. Talking about the weather is very interesting sometimes, especially if you like meteorology, but you're not going to want to be, oh, it's raining today. You're going to be like, let's talk about why it's raining today. What are the cycles that are happening, and why are we suddenly getting rain at this time of year when ordinarily we wouldn't? And you're going to want to go deep into meaning in conversation. No small talk, no superficiality. It's a time for getting strategic also in your communications with a square from Pluto to Mercury in the 8th house. So you might be very focused on some sort of psychological analysis of the self right now, but also you might be very focused on trying to analyze and, psychologically understand other people in your life right now, trying to nut them out, trying to understand their agendas and motivations. So your thinking can be very much directed to that under this influence. Expect a lot of passion in your communications and your thinking too. You will be, if you have a belief in something, you are going to just be like powerful about it. You'll communicate with great fervor and enthusiasm, especially about any topic that's very dear to your heart. And your words really do have power now. So use them like a superhero for good. There can be a tendency to manipulate others with your words under this transit, to coerce others. Be conscious of that and use your words to uplift and bless rather than to manipulate. You can expect to come to some quite intense conclusions also about the darker undercurrents of humanity during this time as well. There might be an awareness, a light bulb that goes off in your mind, like, oh my God, finally I'm seeing the truth of what's really going on here, and you could have a great awakening. You might even find that you might be thinking more about morbid or taboo topics during these few days. You might find that people are divulging their secrets to you now. And some of you Libran people might turn into like regular Sherlock Holmeses on your trail for the truth, or Enola Holmes, which my daughter loves those films. You might be, really following some string lines to find the truth, to find the purpose and the reason behind things. And as you do, things will become clear and you might see things in a whole new light, which could be very confronting. And this can be about anything. It could be about governments, yeah, or it could be about the behavior of a certain person in your life, and you're following the trail of the truth to uncover why you feel a suspicion or why you feel paranoid about what they're doing or what they're saying. So you're likely to find that around the 4th of April, you'll be drawn to some sort of mysteries, some hidden ideas, some concepts, some sort of ideologies. You'll also have the ability, or it will be heightened in you, to be able to see right through people, to be able to understand their motivations and hidden truths. So watch out for being a little bit obsessive in your mind. That's what I would say with this combination. You can get so caught up in the details and following that string trail that you're forgetting the beauty of life and the butterflies in your garden and all the nice, pretty, lovely things in the world as you go deep into the darkness of the world. So I would also suggest that for some of you Libran people, your words might be the provocateur in other people's lives. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I do feel that for some of you Librans, you will be causing transformation in other people through the use of your words. And because this is the house of transformation, Pluto's going to expand or emphasize that capacity for your words, Mercury, to transform other people in some way. So use that as a superpower for good, as I said, and you won't go wrong. Thank you, Libra. Okay, Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon people. Well, the energy of, let's get you set up there. The energy of Mercury moving through Taurus is affecting your 7th house around the 4th of April. You can give or take a couple of days either side of that. And Pluto will be squaring Mercury at this time. So you might find that during this period, you really need to communicate your ideas and your thoughts in order to avoid feeling stuck. Now, even if ordinarily you keep your thoughts to yourself, Scorpio, this is an energy where you are going to want to sort of to share your thoughts with others. Otherwise, you might feel a bit lonely, or you might feel a bit hidden, people aren't seeing you or recognizing your feelings, and so you really need to find a way to share with other people in a manner that feels good to you. Also, I would add that your words are going to be very impactful in the lives of other people now. So be generous with your compliments, be generous with your encouragement, and uplift other people with your words now. Pluto square to Mercury can cause manipulation and coercive words, even abusive words. And you don't want to be responsible for that, Scorpio. You don't want to have that, hanging over your karmic head, So consciousness and knowledge is power. Know that around the 4th of April, you might be inclined to want to prod people, or talk abusively or something like that to other people. Remember my words and try to use your words for power in other people's lives, so as your superpower for blessing other people, rather than dragging people down, manipulating and coercing them. The good thing is that the 7th house is about diplomacy, so you do have the capacity with consciousness and knowledge to communicate in a very diplomatic way if you choose to. Some of you might choose to play devil's advocate in order to balance a conversation, to make yourself or, cause discussion that helps you to think more objectively about things, and you'll also be causing everyone around you to think more objectively about things. That's a positive use of this energy too. But this is a time when you can perceive problems from a variety of angles as well, weighing up the situation for everyone. And you'll enjoy the stimulation of fair and just debate. It's a time for feeling more rational if you are consciously aware during this transit, and more reasonable in your thought processes. Also, it's a great time to bring balance and harmony to relationships with your words. So you have a choice. This is like a two-edged sword, this. You can either use your words for good, to defend or to restore or repair, and transform with Pluto square, but you're going to have to battle against the tendency to want to use your words to harm, to hurt, to cut, to break down others, manipulate and coerce them. So awareness and knowledge is absolutely essential for you this week, Scorpio. Consciousness of how you're using your words in the written form or verbal form. You must be aware about what you say this week, more than any other sign. This is how it is, so that you can bless others. The final thing that I want to say is that with this energy in the house of other people, it may not be your words that are the issue here. It could be that other people are using their words upon you. So, but being a Scorpio person, you're going to be able to see right through any attempts at manipulating you or coercing you or trying to bring you down in any way. You'll understand, you'll see right through any of that behavior, but you might notice it more prevalent in your life than usual this week. Thank you, Scorpio. Okay, Sagittarius rising, sun or moon people. The energy, let's get you sitting straight there, Saggy. The energy of Pluto squaring Mercury will be felt in Taurus, your 6th house. That's where it will be exhibiting. So guess what? You can actually have high levels of empowerment and success in your everyday routine and your everyday life with this influence. So this can be a time when your communication can actually be very articulate and precise, with an improved ability to get straight to the point, which can be very handy. But there can also be a time of impatience with others who are not thinking as effectively as you. So you can have a more detached, observational approach that shines through in your work and is an advantage to you. Your practical skills might be enhanced. You can, even sort of border on perfectionism if you've got some sort of organization to do or health routine to put in place or something like that. But just be careful with perfectionism because it's a fallacy, there's no such thing, and we sometimes burn ourselves out. We become workaholics or gym addicts or something like that, trying to be perfect. Because this interaction between Mercury and Pluto, it has both a positive side and a shadow side. It might make you very introspective and observational, especially as you are observing the inequalities of life around you, or any situations of disadvantage. If you're going through some sort of a court procedure or divorce process or something like that, you will be analyzing everything and seeing into the depths of the situation, whatever that might be. And that can be very helpful. You might need that. But there might be through this time also some revealing of hidden agendas in what your enemies are doing to you, in what hidden agendas in the working classes or in a workplace, or hidden agendas that people have that come to light. This is the sign to do with criminal behavior, and so there could be some hidden agendas that come to light that are actually criminal behavior. So be aware of that and keep your eyes peeled, Sagittarius. Now, if there's any planning or preparation to be done, this is the time. This is this is a good time for getting organized and structured. And it's a great time to put some practical organizational skills in place towards helping any disadvantaged people in your world, the sick and the poor or the indebted. You can also, if you are sick, if you're struggling with debt, this is a time to review your budget and take back your power over a certain situation. Maybe review, find medical practitioners that can empower you. It might be a good time to look into that, or trying somebody new who can transform, Pluto, your life. So do the research, Pluto, and the communication, like ringing around, trying to find good practitioners, or find a gym that's got a good deal going and that kind of thing, to get you into a positive situation with something that is usually a situation of disadvantage, like ill health or lack of education, or poverty of some description, or lack of funds in some area. So Pluto can empower you to find solutions to problems. This is a problem-solving house. And with this energy, there might be some challenges that crop up that you have to deal with, some crisis that unfolds in your life that you've got to try and navigate. But you can find solutions that will transform your life because of Pluto's interaction here. So look for the answers. Try to problem solve instead of saying, poor me, woe is me, I'm a victim. Try to find solutions in that and answers, because they are there, and Pluto will reveal them to you if you look and if you do the work. Thank you, Sagittarius. Okay, Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun and moon people, or moon people. The energy that we're looking at this week is Pluto making a square to Mercury down here in your 5th house. So this is on the 4th of April, can give or take a couple of days around that time. So thinking can be larger than life, because Pluto empowers whatever it is aspecting. In this case, it's your thinking in the 5th house. So your thinking can be larger than life. In your head, you're imagining yourself going where no man or woman has gone before. So exciting, isn't it? What you could accomplish, but you can sort of overextend yourself, or take your thoughts to beyond the realistic in that sense. So you could find yourself undertaking some sort of Mercury related things that you might not usually do. Speaking to a stranger on the train, attempting a crossword or a Sudoku puzzle if you've never done it before in your life, planning a literary endeavor, or signing up for a stage performance or something. You might even find that under this influence that your communication is more confident, more dramatic, more expressive, more captivating to other people now. People might laugh more at your jokes than they usually do. So there's positives with this influence as well. The 5th house is a generous type of energy. So you might be generous with your words, or empowered to be more generous with your words. Giving compliments and encouragement to other people now is a very positive way to use this energy, especially if you're encouraging and uplifting your children or a lover. But we do have to be careful of the Pluto square influence, which is a harsh influence, in that you want to be conscious of not being abusive with your words to your children, or coercing or manipulating your children in some way under this influence. You want to also be careful of not manipulating your lovers as well. This is the house of our boyfriends, girlfriends, our romantic dates and so forth. Trying to coerce somebody into going on a date with you, when they don't want to. Like, back off, dude, enough. So be aware of that, Capricorn. And if you are just speaking, that has brought to my mind, if you are in a situation where somebody is trying to get you to go on a date with them and they're not listening to no, well, it's time for you to assert your willpower in that situation too with Pluto. Pluto is the planet of willpower making a square to Mercury. Use your words and affirm no, that you are not interested. Make it clear. No hidden agendas, no sort of, dilly-dallying. Make it abundantly clear where you stand with a relationship, Capricorn. It's quite important under this energy, lest you be manipulated or lest you be manipulating someone else. Make it abundantly clear. This is just a one-night stand. Don't want anything else, No manipulating, no coercing other people, no giving them false promises and that sort of thing. Very, very, very important. Also, if you're on the receiving end from such language too, be aware. Well, thank you, my Capricorn rising, sun and moon people. Now, Aquarius rising or sun or moon people, the energy of Pluto in your first house squaring Mercury in the fourth house is affecting two planetary angular houses. And so you're going to feel it very strongly. Communication gets personal when Mercury is in the fourth house. So you might find yourself picking up very easily because Pluto sensitizes Mercury in the fourth house, which is a very sensitive position for Mercury in the first place. You might find that you're picking up very easily on the feelings and the needs of other people, even the unspoken feelings and the unspoken needs. You just know where they're coming from. It's also a transit that can bring out some defensive tendencies. So be kind to yourself if you're inclined that way. Know when to walk away and lick your wounds instead of getting, offended or aggressive or angry in retaliation or defensive in retaliation. Be conscious that your feelings can be a bit raw now, and that any poking or prodding you receive could exacerbate sort of inner wounding. So Pluto is transformation. So you might find that through being with your family down here and communicating and talking with your family, Mercury is to talk, you might transform a wound, transform a hurt. So, reach out when necessary to maybe ask for forgiveness or to offer forgiveness or just to share, this is bothering me, I'm really struggling, and find support in the family dynamic under this influence. You could also find that because it's a sort of a gentle house, the fourth house, that unless you've got heavy, nasty planets in your fourth house natally, but generally the fourth house is a gentle house, you might find that information comes to you in gentle ways. Some sort of news arrives. You might get news about a family member. Communication comes in. Pluto's square is making things a bit confrontative with communication with family in the negative sense, but you do have the power to act with consciousness and awareness and not go down that road of being abusive to your family or negative or critical or anything like that. It is a terrific energy for doing some deep insights into yourself by perhaps journaling, doing some deep, psychological uncovery through reading some kind of psychological book or something like that. You might find that, you're inclined under this energy to pick up a book on a more emotive topic, maybe some poetry or a book about relationship stories or some sort of communication that shares a personal journey or a personal story in some way, maybe a biography. You might even find yourself getting a little bit more sentimental or nostalgic than usual under this influence. You might be thinking more about security with land or property in some way. You might be thinking about being hospitable and hosting other people in your home. Pluto empowering your thinking towards fourth house things where Mercury is residing. You can also expect that you might get very passionate about some sort of philosophical topics and deep soul-searching inquiry here too. So that's where the energy may be taking you this week, my lovely Aquarius friends. Now Pisces rising, Pisces sun, Pisces moon people. And again, we're a bit restless. We want to go for a walk. I'll hold you still there, Pisces. Mercury is in your third house. Mercury's quite at home in the third house, generally speaking. It's the house of the mind and it's the house of communication, and that's what Mercury rules too. So here it is. It's being empowered by Pluto. Pluto empowers whatever it touches. Now, there's a shadow side to this, which we'll talk about. There's also some positive opportunities that with consciousness you can grasp and run with. And all this is happening around about the 4th of April is when this is occurring, but you could give or take a day or two either side. So Mercury in the third house can make things very playful and cheeky. You might be, using your words to have a bit of fun right now. You might get a bit flirty with your words, flirty with your wit or your intellect. In fact, your intellect can really be empowered by Pluto's square. Your intellect's on fire. You just know, wisdom comes in, thick and fast right now. So It's also, Pisces, a great time to direct your words into some form of creative brilliance, I would say, as well. Write an article now. Outline a plot for a new story. Strategize a brand new business idea. It's time for getting your thinking juiced up regarding these sorts of things. Your mind can even be quite restless for a couple of weeks while Mercury moves through this house, and Pluto will exacerbate that feeling. So it's good to have some strategies for helping you to sleep at night and switch your mind off, because the mind becomes restless. So you might also get an opportunity in the next few weeks to absorb some sort of new, interesting information. You might be very curious about the news and want to really uncover the truth behind certain news stories that you see. I certainly don't, as a Pisces rising person, I don't watch the mainstream media at all, but I do have sources of obtaining news where people do deep research, and that's going to be your bag. You'll really enjoy that. Pluto squaring Mercury in the third house of the news. So I would encourage you to check out a few channels where they really do their journalism properly and their research properly. You might create some new friendships under this influence, and these friendships are going to bring some great new perspectives and worldviews into your life, which can be a lot of fun. Your curiosity might be quite insatiable. You'll want to know about everything, but that can get a little bit annoying for the people around you. So if you're not, there's two kinds of curiosity I find. There's the salacious curiosity, I want to know so that I can gossip, and then there's I just want to know because I want to understand kind of curiosity. So try and go for that sort of curious research rather than anything salacious. You will also need to watch out for an excess of nervous energy because of the racy mind that you've got. It might be harder to sit still and meditate, Pisces, even though it might be something you usually enjoy. Under this influence, certainly around the 4th of April, it might be very hard to find time to do that because you're so busy, or you just you can't sit still when you do try, and it's better for you to get up and go and do some cleaning or cooking or whatever, rather than sitting there and trying to meditate and it's just not working. Now, one thing I would say is, with a square aspect in the negative expression, a square aspect from Pluto, there could be some harsh words that come from a sibling, or you hear something from a sibling. It might come directly from a sibling, but you might hear that your sibling said something harsh and horrible about you, or a neighbor or somebody in your community is perhaps being abusive with their words, or they're manipulating a situation with their words. They could be, coercing, or you might hear that a sibling or a neighbor or someone is a bit jealous of you. And this can be exposed and revealed during this week. So just forewarned about that more negative expression. And also be careful that you aren't exhibiting those sorts of behaviors towards your siblings or towards your neighbors or anyone in your community yourself. Thank you, Pisces. All right, Aries rising, Aries sun. Let's get you up there. And Aries moon. Thank you for waiting until last, my beautiful Aries friends. You are experiencing Mercury having just moved into your second house, but is squared by Pluto. So this is a house ruled by Venus, planet of diplomacy, kindness, and sweetness. But yet, here we have a harsh aspect from the god of the underworld, Pluto. So what usually happens in the second house is that Mercury is our speaking. And here in the second house, when he transits there, we might be using sweet Venus-ruled words to uplift other people and their sense of self. That can certainly be the case. But with Pluto square, you might be using these sweet words, sweet Taurus, second house, Mercury words, to manipulate and to coerce others. So be very conscious of that, Aries. You might not even realize that you're doing it, but that is the Pluto influence, okay? Perhaps use this influence for better, to bless your own sense of self-worth and uplift your own sense of self-worth direct your words, your sweet words there instead. Maybe write yourself a love letter now. Tell yourself how much you value you and see if that transforms your sense of self. And that's the best way to use this energy, because Pluto is transformation of your sense of self-worth through some sort of written work, maybe journaling, writing yourself a love letter, that kind of stuff. You might also find Mercury as your thoughts. Your thoughts might turn to the arts, to beauty, to fashion, to the environment, to food, to nature, to self-sufficient living here in the second house. And I would run with that energy too. Really run with that energy of thinking about those things, researching those things, going into depth about those things as best you can. And that's channeling this particular square aspect from Pluto into really positive influences, because Pluto is intensity. Pluto is to go deep with something. So if you go deep with the beautiful things of life, then this could be a wonderful transit for you. A wonderful transit, rather than, coercing or manipulating other people for your own advantage. It's a great time and a great combination for planning and strategizing. If you're an artist, okay, I'm going to produce 5 paintings by the end of the year. That's my plan, that's my strategy, And so planning and strategizing your art activities, or planning and strategizing your wardrobe, fashion, how you're going to appear, or giving yourself a transformational experience regarding your presentation, clothing wise, fashion. You'll be thinking about, how can I make my wardrobe work for me better, kind of thing. You're strategizing about that. You might be strategizing about the meals you're going to eat, the food you're going to eat over the coming months. And one of my favorite things to do is to strategize about how to live more self-sufficiently. Maybe I should think about it. Maybe I need to turn that patch of my garden into a veggie patch and grow my own food, or have my own chooks, or get a water tank or something like that. The more that you can live, you be strategizing how you can transform, Pluto, your life into being more self-sufficient. Thinking along those lines can be really beneficial and is a great way to use this energy. You'll also, because Pluto is the ancient god of great wealth, there might be an opportunity to find ways to make your finances and money flourish for you. So just pay attention to where your mind wanders under this influence, my Aries friends, and you might be very surprised at what is revealed to you as an opportunity that you can pursue. So that's what I'm seeing as we go around the horoscope this week with Pluto-Mercury influence. I look forward to sharing with you another astro weather report next week. Until then, be blessed, my dear friends.